20% off. This won't last forever, guys. Head over to the site, pick up some merch now. We are putting a Hellcat Redeye engine in a 2001 Dodge Viper. In the last episode, we got the engine in and mounted. Today, we pulled the engine back out so we can start working on the wiring, the plumbing, and all the things that the engine need to run.
We started digging into the Deechworks fuel system that just arrived today, and we've got a really nice large surge tank that we're gonna mount in the trunk of the car. And I've already started fabbing up a mount that's gonna basically pick this up and carry it sort of like a fuel cell in a race car. And we're pairing that with some large Deechworks injectors as well as a complete fueling system. So we've got a slew of fittings here. They sent us basically every fitting we need, as well as all of the stainless braided line that we need to complete the fuel system. This is going to be really trick when it's all done, and we should have adequate fueling thanks to Deechworks. All right, Ricky's heading home for the day. We've got a couple more hours probably before we can get this thing kind of to a resting spot. So I'm gonna stay a little bit later tonight and get some more of this welding done and get this tank in the car. Quinn, what do you think?
What do you think, Quinn?
Yeah, it's nice.
We'll build a strap that goes down around the bottom. It captures the bottom of it like the fuel cell on the Civic. Okay, we got the frame all built, so there's that. It's gonna go over here in the corner where you see the black line. We're gonna cut that area out, and this frame will drop in. All right, well, there it is, just a thin piece of fiberglass. So this is what the chassis, or the body's made out of. So now we've got a hole, as you can see. And this is how we're gonna pass that through. So a little bit of cleanup work to do here, and we'll see if we can get this frame to drop in. Then we can start making the carriage for it, depending on how high we want it to sit. So now you guys can understand where we're at with this. So it's basically just a cradle, bolts in on the bottom, and then this thing can slide in. Once this is mounted in the car permanently, this surge tank can pop in from the bottom, in and out.
Said, and you're like,
it's on the instructions.
I read the instructions.
I read them. Well, I look at the pictures and it and it says to put them in here. Yeah, that's what I don't read.
So aside from looking at the pictures, what I'm doing is I'm hooking up the ECU harness to the coils, fuel injectors, all of our connections that are stationary on here. I want to see where my big old plugs end up. We want it to be behind the wheel well on the driver's side. That's where kind of everything already goes to as far as like the big 12-volt stuff. Hopefully it ends up there again. If it ends up elsewhere, I need to know so that we can jump whatever we need to from that location over to here. I'm hoping you're gonna have a tack and like pressure readings and stuff like that.
I'm hoping too, Will.
Right off the bat.
I'm hoping I have a tack too.
If not, then we're gonna have to tap into the tack signals from this so that he can read how fast his RPMs are.
Will and I just finished marking this harness up and it fits perfectly. The only downside to us is like, we plan to put the ECU on the driver's side of the Viper because we have more space for an ECU. In this case, the harness already ran for the Hellcat car, which positions the ECU on the passenger rear side of the engine.
Let's go see what we have already populating that space. Amenities.
Which is that big old box. This is the fan that controls the climate.
Car's HVAC. So
HVAC,
your blower.
correct. Your blower, that's what I meant to say, the blower. Okay. So yeah, here's your canister and your blower and all this stuff. So
if there's enough flexibility in these wires to maybe, because there's basically 2 more cylinders space right here.
Correct.
We can maybe build a couple mounts off of here, and it could be right here, but maybe it's not too hot. If we just turn the cables around. How about that?
You might be able to have. Okay, got you. I am gonna be removing the OEM pedal. It's cable, and we're gonna be installing the drive-by-wire one.
Where's the cable right now? Is this it? Oh yeah, this is the throttle cable.
Yeah, she gone.
She's getting chopped.
So as you can see here, this thing is massive, and I'm trying to show you as much as I can. Here's the brake pedal, there's the clutch pedal, and then here is this. And this thing is already laid out on the floor as it is. So I'm gonna make a custom adapter that's gonna bolt into the stock location. Okay, version 1 of the pedal, gas pedal, right? I leaned it too much forward and it is too far down. I shortened these out so the angle of it is less. It's version 1 out of probably 15, so we're gonna keep going until I get it right. All right, we are back to version 35. This is what's left of the pedal now. I bolted some plates on the side of it, on top of it, and then I made this. That's gonna be our pedal, and it's gonna be angled perfectly. Time to weld. Okay, so here it is. Here's the pedal. I finished painting it, putting it together, welding it, and it's completely installed, and it works amazing. Finally, we have a gas pedal for these beasts. Now let's keep going to the next part.
So with the engine in this car, the oil filter does not fit. It literally doesn't fit. The frame rail is in the way. So we notched it. This is actually a factory crumple zone, and there's a lot of other frame around it. So all we did was we cut our little notch out for clearance. Ricky's making this bracket, which is gonna go here, and then we're gonna weld this all the way in. So it's not only gonna seal the inside of the frame from debris and dirt and rust and water and all that stuff, it's also gonna add the strength back to it. This material is actually a lot thicker than the frame material on the car, which is pretty crazy to me. The cab motor is back in. Now there's a few things we need to check. The first one, we clearanced the frame for the oil filter. We need to make sure that actually worked and the oil filter fits. And we need to make sure our drive shaft fits. We got our drive shaft back. All they did was swap out the yoke for the newer T56 style, so we need to put that in and make sure it fits. I'm gonna start working on dropping a new drive shaft in. Hopefully everything works and hopefully everything fits. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the throtl YouTube channel and turn on the bell notification so you don't miss a thing. She is a tight fit, man.
That's what she said.
Of course, I don't have these tightened down yet, but I'm not gonna worry about that for now. But that is real close to hitting the dust boot. So.
But she's good though. She spins. She's fine. Send it. Ship it. If it fits,
that's good.
The chips.
Also, having all of this back in the car means I can kind of figure out where my routing is going to be as far as fuel lines, where I can put the fuel filter. Maybe right there is actually a good spot. It might be kind of low, but.
Oh. Well, the last time I touched this motor, it was on the crane sitting on a tire, and we went ahead and wired up the pre-made harness that Dodge provided to us. One of the other harnesses that they give us is for the fuel pump, the regulator and the controls and all the kind of intelligent stuff. And it's got a couple of wires that need to go to the back to our fuel pump. So I'm just gonna snake this down the tunnel now that we have our transmission and drive shaft in line. I know where my extremities are, so I just need to sneak this by there, fasten it up, and then we're gonna start connecting things as we put this further and further in there. Well, that is a super snug tunnel. So I was able to luckily reach up there and kind of zip tie the looms along with the looms that were already under there. And we now have our fuel pump wires here and waiting for the connections to be made to the new fuel pump. We have a few changes to make to the fuel pump system. We now have a surge pump with 2 different pumps that is then going to turbo boost fuel to our fuel rails on our Hellcat motor.
So I put in order for all of the AN stuff that we need for the fuel system, which is good. There were a few things I couldn't find online, unfortunately, for them to be here in time, so I actually ran up to a local speed shop that carries AN stuff. So we have our bulkhead fittings. So these are the fittings that are gonna go through the fiberglass back, which is gonna allow us to run lines from the surge tank to the other side of the trunk wall. So I'm gonna start by installing those. Once those are installed, we can pull out our surge tank fuel pump drop in, put our fuel pumps in, and then start making lines from the surge tank to the bulkheads. So I got our bulkhead set up. What do you mean where the line's at? It's not the lines, it's just the bulkhead.
There's not even anything here.
It looks cool.
You took
The
everything
bulkheads
out.
look cool in there. Well, I took the surge tank fuel pump hanger out, it's right here. Dude, look at this thing.
I see the bulkhead now.
Yeah, so the lines go from this to that.
You kind of got them straight.
This thing looks freaking cool. Man.
Oh, wow, dude, this is sick.
So it's got like a collector built into it. So all 3 pumps will feed into one output. So we're gonna be running 2 DW400 fuel pumps, and we're gonna be monitoring the car as we do testing, and if the fuel pressure starts to drop, we will probably add another one because we have a 3rd here, but I don't think we'll need to. I think it should be plenty. So I'm gonna go ahead and get our fuel pumps installed in this, get this thing back in the surge tank, tighten down, everything's good, and then we'll start making our lines to the bulkhead. Surge tank drop hanger is back in with the new fuel pumps in, wired up, ready to go. Last thing we need to do is start making lines from the fuel pump to the bulkheads, and we'll be done with the fuel system inside the trunk. So we're gonna start with the fuel pump itself, which is that fitting there. So I've got that fitting in place, and I've got our bulkhead fitting to connect to that. So Dishworks gave us 2 boxes of Dash 8 stainless steel line, which is really nice. So now we're gonna start making lines. So I'm gonna pull that out of the box, measure how much line we need, cut it, and then we'll start putting our lines together. Finish up with the fuel system for now. Now let's go take a look at what Will's working on.
Viper ECU. So when you are such a baller that you go ahead and buy a Hellcat motor kit, it comes with a power distribution block. Now this takes 2 big old battery inputs, and there is fuses and relays inside of here that are dedicated to devices already. It's already pinned out for inputs and outputs. This is a really, really nice kit. That being said, it needs to be mounted somewhere. And this is the power distribution block that is already in the Viper for a lot of the stuff that this is gonna cover. So some of this stuff, I will probably remove the fuses and relays that are from the OE Viper locations, and they're gonna be overridden, taken over by this one.
Will,
Yes, sir.
what's cracking, bud?
We are tying our new stuff in to the old stuff. Now there's a big old positive battery post on the top right here that's covered by this cap. We're gonna run a 2-gauge cable all the way down to this part that kind of has two big old lug nuts.
Dodge provided us with the engine transmission, provided us with the harness and PDU.
Yep.
It seems like this is I wouldn't say full drop kit, but it's almost there.
It's close to it. I'm really surprised nobody's already done this because it is very, it's working so well.
And we have so much room behind the engine too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Even
why we're
with-
putting
even
our
with
ECU
stock-
back there,
even with
baby.
stock stuff, you don't have this much space back here.
Hey, Will.
Hey.
Finish your wire.
Well, that's done. We now have a big old battery connection. This is for our ECU, this is for our supercharger, and this is for our PDU all the way down here, jumping to one of our main lugs right here. So that powers both of our banks of power inside of this PDU.
CSF actually overnighted us the cooling system for the car, and they sent over a bunch of their cores. So this one here is actually the power steering core. This thing is buff, man. I like how they have this mounting design on here. So you can flip this thing if you need pickups on the left or the right. You just flip it, and it has helicoiled pickups on it so that you can make an isolated mount and put this thing basically wherever you want. We also have dual cores set up for the supercharger as well. The supercharger needs cooling just like the engine, and so they sent us off these sweet coolers. They've got provisions to mount on both ends here and here. So big thank you to CSF. Huge shout out to Ravi over there. They were Johnny on the spot getting this stuff to us right away. Like literally made a phone call and it was here within a day. So, and if you're looking for a cooling solution for your own project, definitely check them out on throtl.com. Let's get this stuff mounted.
I just finished mounting our oil cooler. So this is kind of like a core support, but this goes between the shock towers on our suspension. And I just finished mounting up our oil cooler, which is perfect because this is a super critical item. With the engine mounted in the car, we need 3 things. First is oil, which I can complete the oil system with this with our lines, fuel, and we need an ECU back from Diablo Sport. And once we have all those 3 things, then the engine will start. Now, we don't have a clutch, we don't have a radiator yet, we don't have our cooling system plumbed up, but we don't need any of that stuff. It has an automatic flywheel on it, so it'll start.
Alright, so as you can see here, we have the power steering cooler that is completely mounted in the same front strap frame, I don't know, whatever you want to call this, that Quinn actually has the oil cooler mounted on. So he already had his brackets welded and done, and I just finished doing mine since he's done doing his part. Next step from here is going to be putting this in the front of the car, putting both oil coolers on just to make sure that they fit correctly, which as they should. And then we'll see the space that we have so we can start running some AM lines for both oil cooler systems.
Ricky just finished up tying all our wiring harness up, which is good. I got our center strap bar core support thing back in with our engine oil cooler and the power steering cooler on it. Fitment is really nice, and the power steering cooler's tucked back there, all nice. So as far as adapter fittings, I'm gonna go a 90 out. I've got the adapter fittings for the engine oil outputs, which are the cooler outputs down here. Run a 45 to a 90 in and out of the cooler. So now I just need to sit down, order all of our fittings for all of this, and then our oil system will be good. And then we'll have oil and we will have fuel, which means we can start as soon as we get our ECU back and Will finishes up the wiring. So we're getting there.
That's exciting to hear.
That's cool, huh?
I know, we are almost there, dude.
Almost for first start.
Yeah.
It's gonna be sick. Give me the camera. You got to see this. Yeah. You can see so much of the blower. That is crazy, man. This thing is going to be wild.
You need some backup? Will got the easy job. This is the slowest this car is ever going to be.
If it falls off, it's his fault.
1 manpower, 1 horsepower, 1 manpower.
Yeah. 2. Don't blow the skirts off, Will. We're good. We're good. Wow, this is way easier to use without fenders, Ricky.
So these guys are taking this thing up to MagnaFlow. We got some electrical work done, mounted the PDU, got a couple of our connections done. Ricky, you worked on some throttle stuff, right?
Yeah, the drive-by-wire cable was run through the firewall, custom pedal, mounts, and I guess it is a custom pedal, so I ended up cutting it in half and adding some stuff to it. There's custom chassis, custom animals by Quinn, a whole harness installed. There's a lot of stuff done in this thing, but I think it is time for us to get it down to MagnaFlow so we can get the headers on, bring it right back in just a few days, and keep cracking on it.
Okay, we are on our way up right now to MagnaFlow to pick up the Viper. The boys at MagnaFlow finished the exhaust system, so I'm very excited to see how it came out and how much of a challenge it is going to be to take out and put in. They also finished our exhaust system in just 2 days. So we dropped this off on Tuesday. It is now midday Friday and we're going to pick up the car. So huge shout out to MagnaFlow for getting this special project done very quickly and efficiently for us so we can get back to finishing this build. We are pulling up to MagnaFlow right now.
Yep.
Viper swap. Where are you going, bud?
This way. I know where my car's at, bro. The rig, dude. That's what I'm talking about.
She on the lift. Oh, there she is.
There she is.
Oh, they got rain. All right, so our friends at MagnaFlow finished this exhaust in just 2 days, which is impressive enough as it is. In about a day and 3/4 of a day, they finished this thing up. And you can see up here, you see shorty headers. And honestly, I was expecting a 90 off the first cylinder and a straight pipe and then a few exits because of the space. But the fact that they got actual shorty headers in here, it's already insane. It's pretty badass. And then they did a V-band here and everything else are sleeve bands, which is insane. This is great, super great work. I love it. Thank you so much, MagnaFlow. This is incredible.
It looks great, but we still have a lot of work to do on this thing, so we gotta get it back to the shop. So let's get her loaded up.
That's it, we loaded up. Let's get back to the shop. But once again, thank you so much, MagnaFlow. You guys did a
amazing job in just 2 days.
You're hitting the brake, weren't you?
Car just came out from Magnet Flow. We got the car back in the lift. Everybody's already working on it because we got a bunch of parts to install and the engine has to come right out. So see you guys in the next video. Don't forget, comment, subscribe, and like that button. See you guys.